All right, then. So let's start this week's market this week. Week ended 27th of July, and what a week it has been, especially if you look at the Nifty spot chart. Let me reduce a bit of the space that these indicators are taking up. Yeah, a beautiful bar chart, a beautiful breakout from the Nifty at an all-time high, equally supported by Bank Nifty, which is 27661, 27627, which is extremely close to its highs. Looks very clean, looks like a beautiful move. The underlying trend, which I generally look into, 3 moving averages, 13, 21, 34. At times I use a smaller combination to capture the stronger trends. They are all poised on the upside, sloping up. Indicators, I generally use 2 sets of indicators, which is the RSI and the stochastics. RSI I use for the momentum and stochastics for the range analysis. And looking at a chart like this, Bank Nifty or Nifty, you can't help yourself rather than being bullish. The month is coming to an end, and this is how the monthly charts look like. A quick recap of what we discussed in our last market this week. And the call was the fact that as long as last Tuesday's low holds, so we were discussing the market on this day, this was the Friday, and we were discussing that as long as Tuesday's low of 10,938, 10,900 holds, one should maintain a bullish view on the market, and that's how it's been panned out pretty well. And what we've got today is a big gap up. Similar view on the Bank Nifty as well. So the lows held and the market rallied. So bullishness in the overall benchmark index like the Nifty, Bank Nifty continues. There's no doubt about it. There is no single doubt about it that the bullishness will continue. On the downside, immediate support for the Nifty comes in close to this 2-bar cluster that we've seen here. But on a serious note, it's the psychological 11,000 and 11,070, 11,050 mark right here, the breakout point. This was the breakout bar, and this is a successful breakout. As long as this holds, the market will continue its momentum on the upside. When I look at the RSI 14, I look at a value of around 73. The last time we saw 73 or above was way back here. Was it in, this was 71, 72, 74. So we are back to levels where we saw RSI on the 30th of Jan. Prices have taken it out, and so has the RSI. Market's making a new high. The RSI is also close to its previous high. So that's a good sign. And as long as the trend is intact, I think one should continue to stay biased on the upside. Stocks that are playing out in today's market, let's quickly pull the pullers and draggers in the market. And what do we have? We have IOC, which is up. Ambuja is flat now. Contribution, this seems to be a little wrong with. Let me refresh and try if this works. So they are. Okay, some issues with it. Nevertheless, we have this one which will help us. So we are looking at Biocon, big move from how it closed yesterday, turn on a dime. It was in a downtrend, and what we saw is a big turnaround on the upside. Shorts would definitely got squeezed out with this move. ITC, big breakout with couple of gaps. It's been running away. We need to focus on the higher time frame of ITC, and I'm looking at the weekly and the monthly chart. What we see is a clean consolidation, and we've got breakout. The prices have moved above these previous highs. So ITC is holding well. RSI reading of around 70. At the peak, RSI went as high as 77. Tata Motors is a reversal. Let's focus on the daily chart first. We've got a reversal here. The moving averages have started to turn up. I'm not very hopeful on Tata Motors. It's bouncing back from long-term supports. That was the monthly chart. But I sense that 280 is going to be a very crucial level for the stock. Reliance, big move up, which it has a positive hidden divergences here, which push the market further on the upside. It's always good to see all the three moving averages sloping up, shaping on the upside or on the downside for weak trends. Bank of Baroda, TCS, Maruti, these are the stocks which are on the weak zone. Especially, let's pull up Maruti and discuss this stock. What we had over here is a big breakout, and the 3-day fall takes the stock back to the lows. Late entrance in this long trade would have got squeezed out, would probably get stopped out as well. But if I, extend this to the slightly higher time frame, like the monthly chart, what we see is a failure, a retest close to that 9,900 mark, and a failure to hold on to it. This is the monthly chart. And yes, you would have started to guess that this can shape up as an Adam and Eve double top. Now let's not create fancy patterns in our mind, but what is very clear is 9,900, 9,950 is a definite tough resistance for this amazing auto stock. Talking about auto, it always makes sense that we pull up the sectoral indices, because if you remember last time we were discussing that autos is going to be a little tough and one should stay away from that. So let me pull up the report designer, and let me quickly check the 1 week, weekly, and the month is almost coming to an end. So let me check 1 month performance from the NSE indices. Let me quickly do a run. And what do we have here? We are looking at a weekly gainer from the PSU banks, thanks to SBI. Big move. We're looking at a 10% move from State Bank of India. In fact, let me go to the price watch and pull up the PSU banking stocks for you. PSU banking stocks, PSU Bank, there you go. And IDBI was just a move today. Oriental Bank, Andhra Bank, nothing very interesting over there. Definitely, it is State Bank of India, which has actually turned really well. It's moved into a nice uptrend. Moving averages turning up. If I've missed the bus, if you've missed, then definitely makes sense to look for a dip to get into the stock. Union Bank, Indian Bank, Can Bank. Yes, Can Bank, definitely a big move up. Bank of Baroda also has supported pretty well. These are the daily charts. But obviously, hands down, that it's been State Bank of India which has rallied and helped the PSU banks banking index be the leader in this move, in this week's move. But if you look at the weekly chart of the PSU banks, it's not very encouraging. What we see is multiple tests of the lows, shakeouts multiple times, got a breakout on the upside. I've been saying this and I continue to hold on to my comment that if you have to invest or trade PSU banks in the Indian economy, then it only makes sense to look at State Bank of India and not any from the rest. So I hold on to that, and I don't sense that the PSU banks are going to outperform and the private compared to the private sector banks. But SBI definitely worth a watch when it comes down. Metals performing well, though it is the monthly loser. You can see in the month the metal index is down 4%. It's bounced back from the lows and it's amongst the biggest gainers this week, around 6.38. Nothing much that comes in the gainers apart from few in FMCG. Let's look at the losers. At the losing end, we've got IT. We've got IT in the losing end. Let's quickly pull the IT universe and check which are the gainers and losers in today's trade. The Nifty IT comes up. And who do we have? We have TCS obviously coming down for the last 4 days. It's had an amazing rally up. It's still holding beautifully well. I don't see any signs of concern from my indicators at the top. I think this is a healthy correction for a further rally on the upside. Considering that it did not go through any form of correction whatsoever. If you notice, all these corrections were just 1 or 2 day dip. Don't be surprised if you get a complex correction. A complex correction like something like this, a two-legged correction, may happen. However, the trend is intact. I think the rally will definitely continue. Mindtree, a beautiful double top in the making. When we drill down to the daily chart, we see that it's buying time close to supports. The averages have turned down. So there can be a shakeout. A shakeout means it will break this lows, and immediately the next day if it pulls back, then we've got a new high. However, if it breaks this new lows and immediately the next day it does not pull back, then the chart of Mindtree can deteriorate significantly. Tech Mahindra is also a chart I've been keeping a very close watch on. In fact, I had this stock on my radar for a short position but never got a trigger. In fact, this month I've got no triggers whatsoever because it's a runaway market, and in runaway market it becomes very difficult to get swing trades because the markets are essentially just running away. However, so IT has been the loser in today's trade. We were talking about the auto index, and what do we have? We have the similar story, and the story stays. In fact, let me do one thing. Let me quickly, let me quickly drop this line, and I can drop another line over here. There you go. So this zone for the IT, for the auto is extremely important. A lot of things happened in the auto sector last week. We did discuss about this, and let us quickly take a look at the auto stocks. Now the Tata Motors, DVR are bouncing back. They are not good candidates whatsoever. What we've got is some price damage from Maruti. Maruti has been the essential ones. Mahindra has completely gone range bound. It's completely gone range bound. I see some signs of divergences at the top from my indicators, which are suggesting that probably it's gonna take a detour. Probably it's gonna wait a little bit, and that's exactly what is happening. Short-term supports are close to that 900 mark, but definitely a stock to be bought on a dip. So Mahindra is definitely one. Amar Raja completely flat. Bosch, TVS. Now TVS, look at the chart of TVS. This is the weekly chart. It's in a beautiful downtrend. This is how the monthly chart looks like. And the way I do my RSI counts, it seems like this is the move that the stock is trying to correct. Okay. This is the move that the stock is apparently trying to correct. 60, 51, okay, 51, 60, 65. Oh, wait, hold on. It's essentially this move that the stock is trying to correct. This entire rally, 40, 51. There you go. So this is the move that the stock is trying to correct. And if you would like to drop in a retracement, then these are the kind of levels that's coming up for TVS. 525, 480, we've got 38.2%. Looking at the daily, the weekly and the monthly chart, 480 is definitely possible. Considering if it breaks 500, it will be like a psychological mark when it breaks. So 480, 500 zone, keep a close watch. TVS is actually correcting this whole move. So TVS Exide, exceptionally strong stock. Disclosure, I have the stock in my personal portfolio for quite some time. I maintain a long-term hold on this. Ashok Leyland. Lot of questions being asked about Ashok Leyland because of the sheer nature of the fall. What you've got is a big fall, short-term pullback, and will it continue further? Let's do the same thing what we did for TVS Motor. We just quickly check and try to understand which trend is it trying to. Similar story comes in here also. It's essentially correcting the long-term trends. When it corrects such long-term trends, you should not be in a hurry to accumulate them. So what you got is beautiful, 107, beautiful highs, and now the lows 89 and 71. These are the lows. This Fibonacci is fitting on really well compared to TVS. It's hit first support, so what looking at a retest of the lows for Ashok Leyland for sure. Hero Motoko and Bajaj Auto. Bajaj Auto, this seemed like a pure bull trap where the stock went up just to exit. The strong hands wanted to exit at a higher price, and this was the rally which led to that. Big fall and back to its December lows. So these are the kind of supports. Let's not rush through or hurry to buy into a falling knife like Bajaj Auto or Hero Motoko. So the damage from the two-wheelers and TVS, Hero Motoko, Bajaj Auto has started. Ashok Leyland has been weak. Maruti has just started to fall. M&M is holding really well. Tata Motors has been falling for quite some time. The others don't add up too much weightage. So the point stays, what we discussed last time, is the auto is at supports. And it will be an important support to watch for. If this breaks, then auto can weaken further. I'll take up quick questions. I noticed there are a few questions asked. Praveen says hi. Hello, Praveen. How are you doing this afternoon? Vedanta. Okay, let's quickly look at Vedanta. Vedanta, I was looking for some weakness. I had an intraday short trade, but that did not work that well yesterday. Let me quickly. That's Vedanta. What do we have in Vedanta is essentially a short-term bounce back after a fall. And I was looking at a possible reversal from this. I was looking at a possible fall once these lows were broken. I had an intraday trade yesterday at 216 and I had to cover it at 216 only, nothing given or taken. But if I look at the monthly and if I look at the weekly, it's been a downtrend. I don't see much of a divergence or a detour for the from the RSI. What it's trying to do is bounce back. Now try and understand the market is at all-time high. The metals is one of the biggest gainers in this week, but this stock not so much. So we should be a little careful. Trading short-term intraday 2 days Vedanta is fine, but I will be hesitant to take a position on the stock. Federal Bank asks Ashutosh, and the Federal Bank we will quickly check. Okay, nice breakout. Let me do a top-down approach. Let me look at the monthly charts. We've got a correction hitting the lows of around 73.5. Let me quickly check my RSI analysis and quickly find out that which time frame is it trying to correct. So if I have to draw some lines, if you allow me to draw some channel, then probably this is the channel which Federal Bank is trading within. And as long as these lows hold on a closing basis, mind you, these are closing prices on a closing basis, you can anticipate a possible test on the upside. But for this test to happen, I need ammunition, I need power from RSI 14, which I don't have. On the contrary, the moving averages are coming off. Short-term bounce back, that's exactly what we have. From the monthly chart at supports, bouncing back to the weekly chart. This was the correction, more or less 50% mark done, taken care of. But actually, it's the psychological 100. It's the psychological 100 for Federal Bank. Let me keep a line here, because in our next sessions, if you want to know about the follow-up, then I've drawn a line at 100. Beautiful support, beautiful resistance, psychological number. 100 is a very important Lakshman Rekha. It's like an important level for the stock to take out. Not very bullish because it has already started a move, but yes, mildly bullish. It's entering this gap down. This was a sheer gap down, so it's entering the gap down, and I sense that it's going to likely to face some a resistance in this zone. It's likely to face some resistance in this zone, right? That's Fed Bank. Okay, let me pull this out. I meant, okay, Floyd's helping us a bit. Yeah, if you have issues with the audio, I think a good thing would be to log out and log in again. It'll be fine. Kinjal is not getting any audio, so Floyd is asking the same thing. Same with Mohammed Faiz. SG is not getting any audio. Please check your speakers. Jet Airways. Parag, I will quickly check on Jet Airways. Jet Airways, what do we say? Monthly chart, sheer underperformer. Nothing much to say. You know what happens with a stock like this when we look at a monthly chart like this or a weekly chart like this. If I have it at a higher level, I am on the verge of giving up hope. If I don't have it and I want to buy, why would I like to buy a stock like this when the overall market is like this, right? When the stock did not perform, when the market was like at these levels and your performance is like over here that you're trading at your 2008 levels, it becomes very difficult to convince myself I want to get into this kind of a stock. Number one. Number two, so don't buy it if you don't have it. If you have it, then I would request you to get out of it as soon or at a better price as possible. If you have time and you want to hold on to it, you may do so, but hope is not a very good trading strategy. Every time I have implemented hope in my trading, it has always 100% backfired. So hope doesn't work so good. Try and exit, Parag. That will be my suggestion if you have it. Fed Bank we covered, Vedanta we covered. Yes. Okay. We've got Sane. Sane is asking about Navin Fluoride. So Navin is something I don't track often, but let me take a look. We've got a bounce back candidate. Got a spike up. Nice move. Trend turns positive in just a couple of days. On the upside, 750 is the level it's likely to test. It needs to take out 750 because that's where you have the breakout. Yeah. So this is one level of importance. You should mark this. Not this. Wait 1 minute. Okay, just give me a minute. I'm just quickly figure out where I should mark the important lines for you. And the way I do this is using the relative strength index, the RSI indicator. Yeah, so these two levels are important on the downside. So now let me check. There you go. Good support coming in. And on the upside, as it bounces back, no, I don't see much of strong resistance. So I sense, Sane, your pick on Navin Fluoride might really do good and bump up further close to that 740 mark. From a shorter time frame, if you allow me the shorter time frame, then quickly, without taking too much time, this is one level which it has taken out. I'm just quickly looking at important levels for 59, 58, 58, 59. No, that's about it. More or less, I think Navin Fluoride looks good. It's got strong supports at 590, so should bounce up, should bounce back, move further up. Parameters, Praveen, I use a 14 period RSI. This one is a 14 period RSI that I'm using. This essentially is the spine. This essentially is the guiding indicator for the kind of work that I do with the charts. Kinjal, hi, you logged off and logged in, so it works well. Praveen, I share the RSI and stochastics. Stochastics, if you know about aim and shoot, the parameters which I use, the 411 and the 532, how to use them and everything, I've covered them in many webinars and sessions and workshops that I've taken. If you've been part of it, you know the rule how to do that, right? Hindalco, that's a good stock. Vinod has asked me to check. Hindalco again. You see, metals bounce back from the lows, right? It was one of the biggest loser, but it bounced back from the lows. So what we have is bounce back candidates. So metals, Hindalco has bounced back. My order is still negative. If you look at the moving averages, which I'm looking at, my order is still negative. So that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Do I have any setup? So I generally look at divergences using RSIs for setups. I don't see any setup right now, but I'll be keeping a close watch on something like this. This is not the right drawing. This is not the right way to draw it. But if Monday it closes above this, then this channel is gone. If Monday it comes below this, then this channel is very much alive, very much intact. Now on the upside, where can it face resistances, right? So first level comes clearly here. Now I'm drawing this with RSI. Yes, so that's the level you should look out for, 229. So 228, 229 is the kind of level. And look how 228, 229 matches so well with previous lows. So support, resistance, resistance. Mind you, these drawings, these levels that I'm doing are purely from RSI. So Hindalco, short-term bounce back. I'm not very bullish on the stock. The weekly chart are still pretty weak, and they are essentially trading in this cluster. So not very positive. If you have it, if you've made use of the short-term move, I would suggest book some profits out. Not looking very promising. South Bank and Greenply. Greenply I have not tracked. South Bank, 18 rupees. It's down 19% this week. Wow. And it's down 18% this month. Okay. It's down 41% this year. All right. So top-down approach, very, very disappointing. What do we have? All right. I'm just quickly checking and trying to understand which time frame is it trying to correct. Okay, this is essentially the kind of time frame. It's essentially corrected the whole thing. Monthly charts not good. Weekly chart pretty bad. Daily chart disappointing. Not much left. Not much to comment on South Bank FIs. इंशाल्लाह आप होप कीजिए कि ये थोड़ा बाउंस बैक करे, लेकिन बाउंस बैक में निकल जाइए. I would strongly, suggest that to come out of a weekly chart when you see like this, it becomes very difficult. If you've bought it at high levels and if you've averaged out, number one, or average na kare. Number two, if your buying price is somewhere close, take it out. Levels, if I have to share with you, which you can keep a look at, would be 1 minute. I actually take a little time to analyze charts. I don't want to do it in a jiffy. So yes, there you go. I think that's very steep. 26 रुपए का भाव यहाँ से, it's like around 8 rupees. So you're looking at a 50% rally from here, 40-50% rally. It's tough. Na kharidiye, please don't buy, don't average out. You can dump it into your hope bucket. You can have a bucket called the hope bucket. You can dump it there. Greenply, I hope it's a better chart. I've rarely looked at. Oh, whoa, whoa. Ply stocks are not okay, are not doing that good at all. I don't track Greenply. I'm mainly a futures trader, so I just track 100 stocks. These are my 100 stocks. Anyone who wants this, my list of 100, 110 stocks, can drop me an email. I will be happy to share the most liquid 110 stocks that I trade. So Greenply, what do we have? We have a cluster over here. This was the year 2014-15. Stock has come down in 4 months what it managed to do in 2 years. That's when we say that the bulls take the staircase and the bears take the elevator. Big fall, sharp sell-off. I'm sorry guys, ज़्यादा hope नहीं है. What happens is when a stock falls so sharply in such a short period of time, it will take a little bit of time to bounce back and इसका fundamental सुधरने में time लगेगा. Okay, so don't buy at this price. There are much better stocks. Why it is not recovering? SJ, sorry, I don't know your full name, so I'll call you SJ, Allahabad and Andhra Bank. If you have joined us late, remember I was telling some time back that if it's PSU banks in India, it's only SBI. Allahabad Bank, how will it perform, SJ? It's trading at its 2009 levels. Look at, this is a monthly chart of Allahabad Bank, okay? This is a monthly chart of Nifty. And this is the monthly chart of Bank Nifty. Do you see the kind of underperformance that Allahabad Bank has given? Now let's look at Andhra Bank. Forget technicals for some time. Look at this price performance from Andhra Bank. And this is Nifty and this is Bank Nifty. So how can you expect that these kind of stocks which are underperforming such hugely when the market just hit life highs, does it make sense to buy? On the contrary, you can compare that with something like an HDFC Bank. Or you can compare that with something like a Yes Bank. Still good, even after the strong sell-off. Look at the monthly chart, it's still good. So please don't get into the PSU banks, SJ. If you have it, then I will suggest put it in the hope list, the hope bucket. Okay, Hindalco, we have covered. Escorts, I would like to see because Escorts was coming on my radar. Yeah, that's why it was coming on my radar. It's given a bounce back to its highs. These are the resistances, there's no doubt. Let me quickly do a RSI analysis and figure out. There you go. So we've got to draw a couple of lines here. And obviously one more line up here. These are the two important resistances, 910, 930 zone. It's going to be tough for the stock to take it out. If it does and it sustains above 930, then we've got a turnaround story. But considering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days on a trot, successive positive days, I think it's going to take a breather as it hits this 20-point zone. So don't buy at this price. You will be buying high, much high. These important levels using RSI Shailendra is a technique which I have understood, read books by people who spend their careers analyzing the RSI. Like you can read works of Constance Brown, you can read works of John Hayden. So yeah, I've read these books, I've understood, and I've tried to understand them in my own way, and that's how I draw them. This is something which I share in my mentorship classes. Yeah, Floyd is there with us today. Floyd is one of my mentorship students. So these are the techniques which I share in those one-on-one classes on the RSI. Um, RSI, I have two levels which I use in. I use the 14 and the 3. 3 I use for the ultra short term gyrations, and the 14 is, as I said, it's the spine. Spine of the chart is the RSI 14. Tata Motors, ICICI Bank. Let's quickly look at these two stocks. Tata Motors, I think we did some time back, did not analyze it. What we've got is a bounce back. This was the channel breakdown which we had. Pretty weak monthly chart. Deep, deep, deep oversold. Strong trend on the downside. This bounce back, does it have the help of any divergences? Not really, not much. So I don't think it's going to last. I seriously don't think that this bounce back from Tata Motors is going to give it any significant move on the upside. Completely, quickly, few levels that's coming to my mind with the help of RSI. Yeah, it's 309. That comes to my mind. This that I can see on the charts, on the weekly charts. I can see a level which will give us a slightly higher one. Surely it's a weekly chart. So it's coming close to 364. And finally 309. Yeah, every time it's 309 and 360. So we're looking at 300, 300. Now let's get the candles back. What do we have? Yeah, we have this cluster. Just before this, try and understand. When it bounced back like this, let me go back. Let me try and tell you how it pans out. So we've got a bounce back. Everyone would have got excited in this bounce back and would have probably accumulated because you're getting Tata Motors sub 300 levels, close to 300 levels. And after this, the stock consolidates within a range. And you anticipate what? You anticipate a breakout. Any technical chartist would have told you 315 breakout is a buy. What it does, breaks down. As it breaks down sharply 4 days, merciless, all those who bought in this zone, this and this, are trapped. If they had kept the stop loss here, they would have got stopped out. And if they have not kept any stop losses, they are hopeful. And as it drags further down to this level and bouncing back, they are hopeful getting their price, which is close to this zone. This zone is around 295, 300, 310. So when it enters this 300 psychological level, if it does, then it is likely to face some resistance. So I'm not very hopeful on Tata Motors at all. Short term, you can buy, but sell on a rise is the intermediate term call. ICICI Bank, good move. Big 9.5% this week. Do we have a divergence on the daily which helped this move? I don't see any, so that's one rare move which I see without a divergence. Not that in the weekly as well. So this is an interesting move from a chart without the help of any divergences on the lower time frame or the higher time frame. It has moved up. So it reminds me of a saying that anything can happen in the market. Okay, anything, literally anything can happen. So yes, it's bouncing back, taken out these lows, RSI readings, levels based on the RSIs. At this, let me look at the weekly, it can give me a better picture. Nothing, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. All right. So because of the fact that I don't have any strong resistance line coming up from my RSI readings on the weekly chart, I would quickly take I have one. I have one right here. And that's it. So that's the level that's coming out from my RSI levels. RSI levels gives me around 327, 330. So that's the level of for the ICICI Bank in terms of RSI, but price has moved up pretty sharply. The downtrend has just turned up. Momentum indicators are sloping up. Weekly chart, it seems to be like a strong candle. Yes, it might have some leg further, but not very bullish. Probably it will correct a little bit before it tries to try and take out that 300 level on the upside. Okay, I'll take up a few more stocks. Shriram Transport Finance, that's definitely worth talking about. Report designer, sure, Kinjal, I'll do that. Out. Shriram Transport. Okay, I'll take up Shan's question a little later, but Shriram Transport. Whoa, it went up just like the way it came down. That's because of the monthly charts. That's the power of long-term trends. Okay, what do we have? Daily chart. Pretty strong bounce back. The levels coming up from RSI is this one. Is this one. These levels have been taken out. We've got a breakout on the upside. Sharp move. Same story. Before the big sharp one-way sell-off, it consolidated here, clustered here. So that's essentially where it's trying to face some resistances. But for me, 1500 is the crucial level. It can drag to 1500 level before it tires out. Possibility is high. Don't buy at such a high level. Relatively high level. Relativity is the main thing when we analyze markets. So that's Shriram Transport. Titan. We've got a breakout in Titan today. 3.7% up. Closing the falling gap. There are few points to note over here. First, let me quickly drop these lines of resistances, important levels. There's one more right here at this price. Yes. So let's get the candles back. We're looking at 890, 915, 916 levels, which are important resistances. If Titan manages to take them out, it's good. The daily chart looks promising. It looks like it has some headroom. The weekly also looks neat. See, it's always good to have the long-term support. If the long-term supports, these corrections that we see, sharp corrections, are good opportunities to be bought into. So Titan long-term trend is intact. Expect 893, 916 zone. These levels are important. If it floats above 916 and stays up, expect a new high. Shan is asking, what are the basic and mandatory technical analysis like RSI and stochastics we should always use? Can we depend only on trend and patterns sometimes? Honest answer, Shan, everyone uses their own fancy ways and tools. I also keep on, not exactly keep on, but do change my tools a little bit here and there. But my main spine, as I said, is the RSI. You can check my free course, which is on YouTube, which is called Technical Analysis for Everyone. It's a part of a course, a full-fledged course on technical analysis for everyone. You'll find on my YouTube around 9-10 videos. Feel free to take a look into them, especially the video on indicators. It will help you understand the concept really well. Just in case you want to take a look into it, I might help you. This, as I said, is like a part of a full-blown course which I have recorded. So as you come to my YouTube channel, you can come to my website. come to training. Okay, you don't need to come to training. When you come to my website, you can check the training if you want to, but I wanted to take you to my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, and when you come to my YouTube channel, you will be able to see few videos. There you go. These are part of technical analysis for everyone. It's a 53 or 54 video course, and there are couple of them which I have shared on my YouTube. So feel free to go through them if you're new into technical analysis. I am quite certain these videos will help you. Okay. The three lines, Vinod, with the price are the three moving averages. If you know that I like to use three successive moving averages to define a trend. So the way I look into them is when all of them are red and it's falling, it's a strong downtrend. When all of them have turned up and green, it's in a positive trend. So there's a difference between this part, which are all sloping up one on top of the other and green, and this part. This part is jumbled up but all green. So a new trend is trying to evolve. Okay, but these are strong downtrends. So I use three successive moving averages to define that, right? Can Fin Homes and Bajaj Electric. I'll take up these two stocks, and Can Fin Homes bouncing back on the weekly as well. Strong downtrend candidate. I don't see any divergences, not very hopeful. Monthly chart not so good. Lines, if I can find on the chart, I can clearly see that, which is very, very evident right up here. Yeah. On the monthly, nothing yet has taken a shape. From a short-term point of view, clearly a line coming up at this level. That's exactly where the stock is trading right now. So it's at resistances. If it takes 366 up, 370, stays above that, it's good. Second level comes up right here, which is close to the psychological 400. This is much more likely. Next level. Yeah, this is a nice chart which is giving me multiple levels. It's always a good thing. 440. So keep in mind 395 where it's trading right now. It's pulled off a little bit from the day's high. It needs to stay above 365, 366. Let's use 370. If you have 370, then you have 400. You have 400, you have 440. 400 is going to be tough. 400 is psychological level. We've got a panic low. We've got a panic euphoric high. So 400, very, very important level in terms of Can Fin Homes on the upside, right? Pras, how we should pick up stocks for long and short are parts of strategies. Now there are many different types of strategies. You'll find one of the videos on YouTube where I discuss about strategies. However, keep in mind all the strategies do not work all the time, right? For example, take my example. July has not been such a good month for me because I'm a swing trader, and I've not found any, because the markets run away one way. It's been difficult for me. I've struggled July, but that's what it happens. The market actually gives chance to all types of traders, and at times you just have to sit quiet, patient for your kind of market to shape up. So there are trend following, breakout, contrarian, trading markets, and then there are swing. There is a video on YouTube. Take a look into it. In my YouTube channel, you'll find a video which will explain this concept. I'll take up the last stock today, which is Bajaj Electrical. It's moved into a short-term uptrend. Weekly nice, monthly no doubt. There is no doubt that you should continue to hold on to the stock. Beautiful monthly chart. Clean support coming in at this closing price, 535. That's the monthly level. This was a support coming up here, which held pretty well on the upside. Is there any kind of resistances which I see? Not really. So please Madhu, hold on to Bajaj Electricals. The quarterly, monthly charts are such nice structures that I sense that it'll actually move further up. So hold on to it. All right. Long-term saying, see, there are ways to pick up stocks technically with the help of technical tools for the long term, as well as fundamentals can be used. That's value investing. So if you're technically oriented, I will suggest that look into the larger time frames like the monthly, quarterly charts. Again, long term is very relative, depends on what is your long term. But it's possible. Once you know the strategies, it is possible to implement them on the higher time frame. Vinod is asking, what are the divergence numbers that are plotted alongside the price candles? Divergence numbers? I'm sorry, Vinod, I'm not getting your question. This is candles. I've got moving averages. I've got 2 RSI and stochastics. That's it. That's all that I have on my chart. Right. Shailendra Constance Brown, yes, and you can read John Hayden. I'll just put it on the chat window. John Hayden. You can read John Hayden. John Hayden's book on RSI is also pretty good. 3 successive moving averages. You know, you can use 13, 21, 34. If you want a shorter one, use 8, 13, 21 or 5, 8, 13. Okay. I would request, if you want, Ranganath, that please drop me an email. I will reply back. It's much more easier for me to do that, right? So this is my email ID. Drop me an email. I will give you the list of 100, 110 stocks which I trade. Okay. So last stock I'll take today before we close market this week is Power Grid. Short-term bounce back, still trend negative. Lines coming up with the help of RSI is here, 185. Is there any other lines shaping up? Oh, multiple of them. Some come in right here. That's a tad below 200. Understandable, 185 and 200. Weekly charts, weak. Monthly charts, weakening. So we've got a bounce back candidate on the shorter time frame. It is likely to test these lows, which is close to that. 187, oh, hold on. We've got 184, 185. So these levels are important actually, this zone. 185, 186, 187, this zone is important. Once it takes it out, then some leg on the upside. But what we've got is a bounce back. It's not holding that well today, it's down 1%. And the market is up 92 points. So weak counter, stay away from it for the time being. Okay, would request you to stay away from it on the Power Grid chart. Right. So that's about it more or less. We've got the market at an all-time high. Our sense, our call that the lows should hold, and we've got a clear-cut indication from that. We don't see any signs of weakness whatsoever on the weekly or the monthly or the daily chart. So we should not judge. We should not doubt the trend. The trend should continue, barring short-term corrections. So we should maintain a bullish bias, right? For a swing trader like me, I will have to wait for a short-term dip. As long as the dip doesn't come, I will just have to watch the trend shape up and extend further on the upside. But do look into those stocks that we have discussed today. Reliance is definitely one of them, which is exceptionally looking good. It's making new highs, but it's shaping up divergences as it moves up on the daily chart. So for Reliance, I'll be closely watching yesterday's low of 1105, let's say 1100. 1100 should hold. If this has to be a breakout trap, this low should not be broken. That is Thursday's low of 1105. Right? Okay, so with that, we'll end up this week's market this week. Congratulating everyone to a new life high for the Nifty and Bank Nifty almost. We'll be back again next Friday. get your list ready. If it's, I've shared my email ID. It will be really good if you share your stocks with me before we start. It'll be easy for me to, do my analysis on the charts before I start. So with that, I'll conclude today's market this week. As always, take care. Take very good care of yourself and others. Trade well, trade wise. Thank you, everyone.